Time since a violent attack in South Dallas was caught on video. We are hearing from the victim, a transgender woman. Muhlaysia Booker reportedly suffered a broken wrist and a concussion.
This time, I can stand before you, whereas in other scenarios, we are at a memorial.
23-year-old Muhlaysia Booker, a transgender woman, was attacked last Friday outside Royal Crest Apartments on Wilhurt Avenue in South Dallas. Cell phone video caught the incident. Multiple people can be seen punching and kicking Booker's face, head, and body. Bystanders watched, and according to police, homophobic slurs were used. Today, surrounded by supporters, Booker spoke publicly.
This has been a rough week for myself, the transgender community, and also the city of Dallas. But I want to sincerely thank all you guys for coming out, by your support and fairness. And just as I'm overwhelmed by your presence, your donations, the support of my transgender family and allies who want to see justice served in this case, I will remain strong with your support due to the impending criminal investigation. I will not make any further comments today except for gratitude.
Police arrested Edward Thomas, one of the suspects in the video, for aggravated assault. According to the arrest warrant, someone told Thomas he would receive $200 to beat the victim.
No justice! Yes!
Activists are calling for Thomas to be charged with a hate crime. Dallas police say they have asked the FBI if this is such a case. State Representative Jessica Gonzalez.
An attack on one of us is an attack on all of us. And together we will continue to fight against the hate that continues to plague our communities. Thank you.
After speaking, Muhlaysia was helped off stage by supporters and an officer.
Okay, and this story is important. This story is also why we have an exhaustive trigger warning. All right. And this is off the ACLU. I don't typically share stuff from them because they have a specific bias and like their stuff is very editorialized, but I just feel like this is a story we should cover. So here we go. A mentally ill man in solitary cut off a body part at Broward County Jail. Yeah.
Florida.
Yeah, Florida. And this is written by Eric Balaban, by the way. The ACLU National Prison Project, something or another.
And the ACLU is the American Civil Liberties Union.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which I believe was started by Helen Keller.
Why do I know that name? Because
she was deaf and blind and like learned how to sign, and it was like a huge thing, and then she became like an activist, and because basically she had one of those fucking diseases that's coming back because people refuse to vaccinate their fucking children.
Oh.
And so like she was, I don't know, like older. She was at this point, like after she got sick, she went blind and she was deaf, and she basically just acted like a toddler because nobody knew how to like communicate with her because she was young when she got sick. So when she was older, I don't know, like maybe like 12 or something, she was still like just acting like a toddler because nobody knew how to like, you know, connect with her. And so Annie Sullivan was her teacher who ended up, you know, finally taught her how to sign. And then when she realized like Braille and shit, and like she finally like, you know, like progressed more, you know, like maturity, you know, like matured developmentally, and then became like a really kick-ass activist and whatnot. Yeah.
Well, fuck.
Yeah.
I could have. Well, Jesus Christ, people are fucking assholes. Because I only know her name as like some pop song using it as like a joke.
Oh, yeah, there's lots of jokes about like, oh, crashed my car, driving like Helen Keller, you know, like shit like that. But
fuck.
Yeah, actually, yeah. Yeah, it was actually a very interesting story, and that was part of, you know, like some of the disability movements, because if it hadn't been for sign language and Braille and things like that, like she never would have, you know, she just would have died acting like a 5-year-old, because how do you teach a kid if you can't talk to them or, you know, write, you know what I mean? Like how do you, so yeah, it was actually, in that aspect, very important as far as disability rights go. All right.
Word.
So anyways, yeah, I'm pretty sure she's one of the founders of the ACLU.
Yeah, so Broward County Jail.
Yes. So, the actual event occurred around midnight on September 5th, 2008. Guards responded to prisoners banging on their cell doors inside a lockdown unit at Broward County Jail's main facility in downtown Fort Lauderdale, Florida. They went into the solitary cell of J.I., all they have is the initials, not the name, so just J.I., and made a gruesome discovery. J.I. told an officer, "I have a medical emergency. I just cut my penis off and flushed it down the toilet because I don't need it anymore."
So,
right.
And what, we front-loaded this, mentally ill?
Yeah. Well, we didn't, but he is.
Oh.
So, I mean, you know. J.I. had used a razor blade to cut himself. The grisly act of self-mutilation is just the latest chapter in a series of tragic events involving seriously mentally ill patients at this jail. J.I. has a documented history of mental health treatment dating back to 2007. So, like, not new. They knew. He was booked into the jail in October 2017. 2 months later, he was placed on suicide watch after he'd told the staff he suffered from schizophrenia and bipolar disorder and wanted to harm himself. J.I. was prescribed various mental health medications during his stay, which he refused in months leading up to the self-mutilation. These included antipsychotics and antidepressants that could have helped prevent J.I.'s condition from worsening. Prior to his placement in solitary, J.I. began showing telltale signs of a mental health crisis. He had a public masturbatory episodes, along with refusing medication and refusing food. Like, these should have, I feel like I should, I'm reading this, but this is exactly what's in my head. These should have been red flag signs to the doctors supposedly overseeing J.I.'s care. Yet his medical record contains few notes or observations from the jail's mental health staff. As he deteriorated, his treatment plan was not updated. J.I. was initially placed in solitary confinement for yelling at staff members. He had been in solitary confinement for over 112 consecutive days at the time of the mutilation. Like, what the fuck, man?
100. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, right. Like, so you already know since 2007, you've known he has mental health issues. And then all of a sudden he won't take his meds. He won't eat. He's masturbating in public and yelling at people. And you're like, what should we do? Let's put him in solitary confinement. What could go wrong?
That's pushing up. That's about 3.5 months.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's fucking heavy-handed.
That's an entire season, really.
And that's, again, where did this shit come from? This idea of there needs to be a big-ass building where we put people because we don't like what they did.
Yeah.
That's some European shit. Like, I don't know anything about any cultures of people doing that before Europeans showed up with their fucking ideas. I don't know about it.
I think there were prisons in Asia, but they were not like this.
Asia, but then again, there's a reason why that continent is called Eurasia. Okay? Y'all niggas.
Yeah.
That's y'all niggas.
Yeah, I've literally never heard of, like...
Aztecs, Incas, Mayas, Samoans, Chamorro people. Anywhere in Africa's kind of big, so somewhere on there, like...
I do not... I know, like, I've heard of instances where you have to pay, like, a fine if you do something. If you do something really awful, you might get, like, excommunicated. You might maybe, be physically punished in some way, but just putting somebody inside a confined space for years on end, no.
Yeah, and then literally build a whole industry out of it, like before you had all this Netflix and all that business, you could watch a Tupac Shakur interview and he'd tell you about how they you can feed a whole town off of one jail.
Yeah.
Yeah, that he actually did that interview while in jail when he had a little TWA. That's okay. Again, a lot of white women tune into this program. That is a teeny weeny afro.
Yes.
All right, he had a TWA. And and actually, I think that interview is out by itself. I think it's called Tupac versus Tupac. I think it's the name of that DVD or VHS tape. I think I had the VHS tape. And like that's available. You can see that whole interview. It's very interesting. Part of it that makes it very interesting is that Tupac, he was in prison, so he was fully fucking sober as all hell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because Tupac, wasn't he, what is it, existential depression, I think is what they call it, when, like, you're just so hyper aware of what's going on around you, you just cannot deal with life because you realize how shitty it is.
Yeah.
Like, and I think a lot of people said that about Tupac, like, he was always, like, smoking or drinking or whatever, because he was just, like, just stop out of nowhere and think about something and just be like, I need to go hit that weed again. Like,
yeah.
And yeah. And, I was reading an article today, too, and they were saying that, like, how they're using the prison slave labor, that the average inmate pulls in, like, $45,000 worth of product, like, whatever they're doing. Like, they're pulling in, like, $45,000 worth of labor.
A year?
But they're only getting paid, like, 25 cents an hour. So, yeah. Somebody's making money.
Fuck. And if you think, like, So one inmate is like, that's a guard's salary.
Right.
But then, like, I don't know how these things work. What do you have? 20 guards on staff, round the clock, 24 hours? I'm just guessing here, folks. Spitballing.
Probably depends on the size of the
facility, yeah. But then you have, what, 500 inmates, 800 inmates?
Yeah, hundreds of inmates.
God damn. So the guards' salaries are covered easy. I almost said the CEO. Well, who's that mother? The warden.
Yeah.
Warden's salary's covered. Assistant, their salary's covered. I guess the rest of that shit just goes to the fucking corporation.
Yep. It does.
It's danger, man. It's fucking bad ideas, man. Should have kept that shit in bloody England.
I mean, they can go back anytime they want.
You don't even have to do the boat ride. You fucking have planes.
Right. But you have to scan your face in them.
That was your idea, too? That wasn't us?
Oh, shit. All right. So yeah, when this happened, he had been in solitary confinement for over 112 days. Prisoners in solitary confinement are isolated, unable to interact with others or participate in daily activities. Instead, the men and women men and women in solitary spend their days alone in a cell roughly the size of a parking space. It is well recognized that prisoners experiencing these harsh conditions need to be assessed by a mental health professional prior to and during their placement in solitary, as isolation can exacerbate or even cause mental health problems. None of these safeguards were followed for J.I. No psychiatrist assessed him prior to his placement in segregation to determine if placement would be harmful. He was not adequately monitored while in solitary for the 4 months leading up to his mutilation. And the risks to those like J.I., who already have serious mental health illness, are acute. There is a consensus that those suffering from serious mental health should be excluded from long-term solitary confinement altogether. J.I.'s self-mutilation was just the latest in a series of tragic events involving mentally ill prisoners at the Broward County Jail. Do you remember when these niggas had their own TV show? It was like the women deputies of Broward County or some shit.
Sounds familiar.
Trying to make it seem like they were all fucking like glamorous and like, oh, we're women doing the real work and bullshit.
That fucking sounds really familiar. While you wrap up the story, I'm gonna take a glancey poo.
Yeah. In 2012, William Herring, a prisoner diagnosed with schizophrenia and bipolar disorder, so same thing as J.I., starved himself to death. What the fuck? How? Starving to death takes like several weeks. That's not like, we didn't notice for 3 days that he didn't eat. No, that takes several fucking weeks. All right, so he starved himself to death under the watch of Broward County Jail officials. And a few months before Herring's death, Raleigh Priester also starved to death. How the fuck is niggas starving to death? Like,
this TV show was on TLC.
Yeah.
Keep in mind, folks, that doesn't stand for T-Boz Left Eye and Chili. It doesn't stand for Tenderness, Loving, and Care. That shit is the Learning Channel.
Yeah.
You're supposed to be learning, but you got this shit.
Broward's back.
Broward's back. Rock and roll music. White women with yellow hair.
Oh,
Come on.
Do you see the title? It says, "Don't mess with mama."
Well, yeah. That's the kind of sentence you should have on the Learning Channel and teach you how to talk good.
Get on the ground. Get on the ground right now. Get on the ground. Open the door. Shut up. I'm talking now, okay? Don't take me for a fool. The wait is finally over.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck. I'm going. Oh, they're literally showing one of them do crunches. Or that may have just been a person on the beach that consented to be on show.
Where are they? Where you at, Mel? We're on 2-4
Yeah, it's basically Cops, but starring women, really.
Well, skinny cis white women with yellow hair.
Women, yeah.
Okay, back to real fucking news. This is the actual Learning Channel, Wine Cellar Media.
Yes. So, and I Googled, this is from healthline.com. Cause starving to death seems like it takes a while, from what I've heard. So I'm looking here. One study in the British Medical Journal cited several hunger strikes that ended after 21 to 40 days because of life-threatening symptoms. Okay, so 30 days. So basically a month. These niggas didn't eat for a month and nobody did anything about it. A fucking month.
That is some fucking pain.
Yeah, 30 to 40 days you can go without eating.
Like how much it hurts to fucking be busy and active and not eat for like 6 hours.
Yeah.
Jeez.
I just, that is like a fucking higher level of sadism. honestly. Like a month, a fucking month.
Yeah, that's not like, is Ramadan even a fucking month?
It is, but that's only sunrise to sunset.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, like you can eat at night. Yeah.
Oh, fuck. So that's not even fasting at all, really.
It's kind of fascinating.
It's a change in schedule.
I mean, it kills people every year, so, you know.
Oh, yeah. Oh, religion is bad. Don't do it. And also, I'm sure that the patriarchy out there ain't helping a bit much, and climate change is probably really not helping.
Climate change is what's really fucking it up, because that is, you know, several hours without water in 110 fucking degree heat type shit.
Yes, it's like when you got to compare how old is Ramadan versus how old is the modern death toll.
Right. So then, of course, I said, what did I say? So William Herring starved to death as well. And then a few months before Herring's death, Raleigh Priester also starved to death at the jail. Priester also suffered from schizophrenia. Okay, well, wow. I'm noticing a trend. Wow.
Yeah.
But he was still placed in solitary confinement where his condition deteriorated. He began starving himself. The man was 6'2" tall and went from 240 pounds from the day he was arrested to 139 pounds before any medical intervention was undertaken.
So that's like basically all fucking bone weight.
Yeah.
Bone weight and like however much organs weigh.
Yeah, 6'2" and 139 pounds.
Yeah, that's I mean,
fucking.
Yeah.
That's
like the fucking arms, the leg weight, the skull, that's all fucking bone weight.
Yeah, that's fucking. He was briefly hospitalized, gaining 11 pounds in 1 week, but after his return to jail, he died of starvation, weighing 120 pounds. Jesus fucking Christ. He was in solitary confinement for 155 days. I fucking...
Greatest country in the world, America. Remember, people like Chris Rock say it's great. People like Oprah Winfrey think it's awesome. And if you like Hillary Clinton, well, guess what? She thinks it's awesome too. Kamala Harris also thinks America is the shit. And when it comes to these conditions, she contributes to putting people in America. Die of starvation, 120 pounds at 6'2". Now, I don't know what you think you're gonna do.
Why are you singing?
This is the new national anthem. I just made it. It's more accurate.
It is more accurate. So we have an ongoing civil rights lawsuit on behalf of the men, women, and children confined to the Broward County Jail. Yes, we do lock up our children in this country. Just a week before J.I. mutilated himself, a court-appointed psychiatric expert in our case issued a scathing report finding numerous life-threatening deficiencies in mental health services at the jail. These included a failure to exclude seriously mental ill patients from solitary confinement, timely treat patients who refuse their medications, and not hospitalizing patients who could not be adequately treated at the jail. The expert concluded that the mistreatment and neglect of those with mental illness was absolutely inhumane. And they put that in quotes, so apparently they said absolutely inhumane. Following the expert's report, the parties crafted a comprehensive decree that will remedy the flaws and failures of the jail's mental health care system. The agreement awaits approval from the presiding federal judge. Under the agreement, seriously mentally ill patients will be excluded from solitary confinement, and individual treatment plans will be developed and implemented for all mental health patients. The most acutely ill patients will be diverted to psychiatric hospitals rather than being warehoused at the jail. These remedies came too late to prevent the tragedies that befell J.I., Priester, Herring, and too many others. They must be implemented now to prevent future tragedies at Broward County Jail. And I cannot help but point out, this is Broward County Jail. This isn't a prison. This is a jail.
I think I may have said prison somewhere in the segment.
Oh, yeah, this is a jail. And for folks who don't know, jails and prisons are not the same thing. Like, yes, they lock you up and have solitary confinement and police beat the fuck out of you, or guards beat the fuck out of you and all that. However, a jail is locally owned and operated, and it is for people who either can't afford bail, or people who are convicted of misdemeanor crimes, or people who are not given bail. So everyone who's in there has committed a misdemeanor, which is less than a year in jail, because when it gets beyond that, you go to prison, right?
Yeah.
So this is a county org. So everyone who's in here is either here because they did something minor that requires a few months is a jail sentence, or they cannot afford to pay bail to go. Like, this isn't, you know, because people have these things in their head. You're like, oh, inmates in jail and prison. This isn't like some fucking you know, maximum level security prison where, you know, it's a bunch of like rapists and, you know, serial killers. No, jails are full of people who can't afford bail because they got, you know, arrested with weed on them, or they were carrying condoms and got accused of being sex workers.
Yeah.
That's who's in jail. Like, these, you know, this isn't some fucking hardened, you know, I killed 22 people for fun type of person.
Or dead up. You could be in jail because shit is illegal because European men got their hands on gunpowder and said, this is what's right, this is what's wrong, and I'm not really accountable for it, but you are, especially if you're in the lower class. And so, like, say you see a marginalized person that you can identify as marginalized on the spot being harmed by a privileged person, and you walk up and you stop them with a little hand-to-hand combat.
Yes.
Go to jail.
Yes.
That's assault. That's battery. That's
Yep.
Well, damn. There's like a word for like a fist fight that where like, you know, it's an even matchup and you don't fuck each other up. There's like a word for that, and I forgot the legal language. Yeah.
What a draw.
A draw?
Yeah.
I think that's a competition language. Not like what you would go to jail for, what the charge would be. Yeah, but fucking you go to jail for that. You end up in the same place where they're doing this to these folks.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, or what? Fucking Khalif Browder, accused of stealing a backpack, couldn't pay bail, was in solitary confinement for shit he never even did.
Man, that backpack had zippers. That was a snazzy bag.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, fuck.
Side pockets and everything.
Side pockets.
Yeah, you little bottled water.
So yeah, that was that.
And
wonderfully depressing story.
It was. And remember, Phoenix leader a couple seconds ago said we do put kids in jail, and never forget the fucking Judge Mark Ciavarella Jr. story, who took $1 million in bribes from developers of juvenile detention centers, and then presided over more than 2,000 cases, sending kids to those centers.
Yep.
Yeah. So, you know, profit motive, buddy.
It's amazing. What could go wrong?
He pulled himself up by his kid straps.
Shit.
There you go. All right. Fuck, that was a little longer than it should have been.
Yeah, it was a long story.
Yeah. Oh, we gotta fucking do it, buddy. All right. Please be as safe as possible wherever you are. In the web posts with these, I have a new way that I'm doing the web post. I'm putting hyperlinks in with each web post that goes with a podcast or YouTube upload, and it'll link you to the iTunes where you can go and drop a 5-star review. That shit helps.
Yes.
And then you can also help, like, if you got a little change on you and you want to throw it at us, here's some fucking change. You know, I mean, Canada passed a law. You can do that now. You can throw change at us. All right. And like, only sex workers got that reference. Yeah. But fucking paypal.me/Phoenix and William, that's automatically going to be loaded in the post. And of course the Patreon, folks are familiar with those two loaded in the post. But then also the Amazon wish list, which only has studio items that would enhance the Wine Cellar studio so that we could produce better, faster, stronger.
Right.
Yeah. And I want to get enough gear up to where, and which that shit, it can get fucking priceified. Because the biggest thing is another audio board.
Oh, a soundboard?
Yeah, I don't even have extra microphones on there because we would have to have extra microphones and another board. And then there's also another, just like the camera we have now, the Logitech webcam, we would need another one so that we could set up and we could like broadcast with the other laptop. So like you could have the Facebook Live here and you could have YouTube Live there, you know, and then you could have Blog Talk Radio Live. So when we do broadcasts, we can be in multiple places, share the links around, because some folks only go in one place. Like some people are like, yo, just put it on Facebook, that's where I am. Right. You know, put it on Twitter, that's where I am. Patty Loco, typically, I think Patty Loco literally does go straight to the Patreon for content. Like Patty Loco is one of the few folks that actually comments on Patreon posts. You know, Tripod, because I would like to set people that are looking at the YouTube, I would want the camera a little off to my right, and then we could really like move this little space in, and Physical Leader could like sit around like almost like we're at a little fucking round table.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, because we barely look at the camera anyway. We're always looking at decibels and boards and the news story. Or we look at each other a lot, so fucking we could sit right across from each other and look at each other talking and have the camera on the tripod, and you could actually see more of the studio, so the background would be more robust. Yes, I have to get posters on the other wall. Want to get some lefty-headed shit over there. We got all our black shit there, of course.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. All
Very
the way
black.
down to a fucking Snoop Dogg stuffed animal.
Yes.
All right. That should be that, yo. Please be as safe as possible wherever you are.